Welcome back, YouTubers, to another WWE blog with me, Daniel Parkin, on behalf of the British Fist. And it's Friday night today, so you know what I've gone and done for you guys out there. I've gone and watched Smackdown on YouTube and prepared myself a review. So here we go. But before we do that, make sure you guys subscribe up above, like the video, and comment down below. And don't forget, our links are in the description box below for Facebook, Twitter, and Skype, etc. So, let's get on with this damn review. Okay, so we start the show off with Christian, who should really be coming out as he got screwed out of the title last week. My only problem with this is that he comes out and says that he respects Teddy Long's decision about making this match 2 days after he, won the title in a grueling ladder match with Del Rio at Extreme Rules. My problem is, you wouldn't, if you were a guy who just worked 17 years to win the most prestigious title in your career and you had it taken 2 days away from you, you would not respect that decision. You just wouldn't. Even if you were a face like Christian, you just would not respect that decision. And, I don't know, it really confused me as to why he was saying he respected something like that. But anyway, I digress. He congratulates Randy Orton on his World Heavyweight Championship, says he's looking forward to his match at Over the Limit, and then goes on saying that, he wants to be 100%, and at 100% he could beat Randy Orton. And I'm thinking, even at 100%, why would I believe someone like Christian could beat Orton the way he's being booked at the moment? Seriously. I think we all know what's going to happen at Over the Limit. Randy Orton is going to hit the RKO out of nowhere and is going to carry on his World Heavyweight Championship reign for the next year in SmackDown because he's going to dominate the fucking brand. But anyway, next part of the segment is, out comes Sheamus. I don't know why. Wasn't he like, US title, I don't know, wasn't he in matches with Daniel Bryan or something? For some reason, he randomly comes out and says that the fans want to see Sheamus versus Christian. Do they? I don't think so. Anyone in here want to see? No one wants to see this match. What my problem is, if Sheamus wants to challenge for the belt, which I'm guessing he does, coming out in this segment, why is he coming out interrupting Christian when he should be coming out, interrupting someone like Randy Orton, who is the champion and who he can be getting a #1 contendership from by being in a promo with him? But anyway, he comes out there. It's a little bit random. I don't see why Sheamus has just all of a sudden been elevated from mid-card to, I'm in the main event. But I suppose they're going to try and build him somehow. Then we get Mark Henry, and again, it just adds to this, that SmackDown do not have any main event credible heels, because Mark Henry's coming out and no one really gives a shit. He says that the fans want to see Mark Henry versus Sheamus, or they could team up and beat Christian. And what do? They go and team up and beat Christian, of course. And then out comes Randy Orton. Sorry, it was so boring. Out comes Randy Orton to make the save, beat on Sheamus and Mark Henry to help Christian, and you see a little bit of tension with them in the ring, and this kind of sets us up for our main event later tonight. So the promo itself, although it was a little bit random and it introduced some people that weren't really in this main event scene at all, and have not really gained any sort of elevation or credibility in this main event scene. Other than that, it set up the main event for the evening. We see a little bit more between Randy Orton and Christian. Obviously, it's going to be face versus face, so it's going to be a little bit different in that sense. Overall, the promo was okay, but it could have done with some more credible people in there that I could feel that could challenge for the title. And Sheamus and Mark Henry at the moment, I don't feel can do that. But anyway, we get an announcement from Teddy Long that it's going to be a backstage segment. Saying it's going to be Christian Orton versus Mark Henry and Sheamus. Mr. Fucking Obvious, you're really going to make that tag match? He does this every week. It's Mr. Fucking Obvious. Makes the tag team match for the main event, but at least he gets a set up for the main event, of course. We then get a match between Daniel Bryan and Sin Cara, and at the beginning of the match we have Chavo Guerrero introducing Sin Cara in the ring. Now, I like what WWE are doing here with Chavo Guerrero. They're kind of introducing him as the jealous heel in this whole thing, and he introduces Sin Cara. Sin Cara doesn't like it, of course. Because he's a self, he's on his own, he's a face. And you get Daniel Bryan as well, and we all know Daniel Bryan can put on a good match with someone like Sin Cara. He can very easily put him over, and that's what he did in this match. It was a very good match between the two. You had Daniel Bryan allowing Sin Cara to showcase their skills, although you saw there was a little bit of a communication issue with Sin Cara just coming into WWE. They still managed to work a decent match, and it showcased Sin Cara's abilities as a babyface and as an underdog type character like Rey Mysterio can overcome bigger wrestlers, technical wrestlers. So it was a good match. At the end of the match, we get Guerrero distracting Daniel Bryan, a little bit botchy, but oh well. And then we get Sin Cara kicking Daniel Bryan at the top, and then hitting him with I believe the move is called a C4 from the top rope. That ends the match. And at the end of the match, we get Chavo Guerrero come in, trying to congratulate Sin Cara on his win, and Sin Cara's having none of it because he didn't want his help, of course. And we see a bit of tension between Sin Cara and Chavo Guerrero when Sin Cara pushes Chavo to the ground. So again, more good sort of heat for the rivalry. And again, I said this last week and I'll say this again this week, I believe this will be a great starter rivalry for someone like Sin Cara, who's just trying to settle into WWE, and you've got someone like Chavo there who is a very good veteran and can really do well putting him over. So I'm glad to see this as well. This is good for Sin Cara, and it'll also be very good for Chavo Guerrero because it will get involved in TV again, which we all want to see, because we all know Chavo Guerrero is a very credible and good wrestler. We then get a Layla promo, which obviously she's now she's beat Michelle McCool, she's going to try and appear as a face. So she cuts a face promo saying that how even though she injured her knee, it was worth beating Michelle McCool. And then of course, Michael Cole interferes, as he does all the time, with the Divas, saying that he doesn't care about the Divas division, that someone needs to really beat Michael Cole because he's kind of getting on my nerves, but then again it means he's doing a great job as a heel. He kind of gets into Layla's face a little bit, and Layla comes back with some remarks, and she gets a very good face pop. I can see what WWE are doing here. They're trying to use Michael Cole to get Layla to transition from a heel to a baby face, a little bit quicker, and they did a good job because the crowd really did respond to Layla in this promo. After a little bit more talk by Michael Cole about not caring about the Divas, out comes Karma. And Karma comes out and she gives the implant buster to Layla, and then she turns to Michael Cole, and I'm thinking to myself, come on! No, Michael Cole runs out and hides in his coal mine, and Karma's there just laughing. Of course, she could eat Michael Cole for fucking dinner. That girl could. So that was that segment. Obviously they're trying to get Layla as a babyface now. It's another thing. It's another little thing for Karma. Carrying on her silent destruction of the model diva, so to speak. So all in all, a decent segment with some it had decent purposes in it. A bit of Michael Cole, a bit of Layla, and a whole load of Karma. We then get a Wade Barrett versus Kane match, and Wade Barrett got a little bit of mic time, which was good because we all know how well he can draw heat, and it's good that he's getting mic time before the match, especially being the leader of another faction in the Corre. The match itself was okay. I had no complaints about the match. Obviously Kane is a very big guy, so it's going to take a lot to get him down, so Wade Barrett uses heel tactics to get him down. It's overall a very good match until the Corre interfere, so it's obviously a win for Kane by DQ. The Corre interfere and they beat on Kane, and then out comes Zeke Jackson, the person who everyone was wondering if he would appear. So out comes Zeke Jackson to a little bit of a face pop. He manages to get in some offense, but unfortunately Corre used the numbers game, and towards the end of the segment we had a 540 splash on Zeke, so the Corre dominate Zeke. Again, it's part of his face turn once again. The Corre beating on him to establish a face turn. So overall, a decent match, and the aftermath. It was more focused on although it was more focused on the aftermath. I didn't mind the aftermath, as it at least gives us a bit of storyline going into their match at Over the Limit, which gets announced later in the night. Wade Barrett and Ezekiel Jackson for the IC title, of course. It had to happen once in the night. We couldn't go a whole SmackDown or even a Raw without one of these. It's another Who Gives a Fuck segment. Now, I was going to save this I was going to save that for the Layla segment, but at least that had some purpose with Karma coming out. But this one just had what? It had Great Khali coming out in a cowboy hat as a face, and then they do the Khali kiss cam. Who gives a flying fuck about this? Seriously, no one cares. They call out a woman from the audience, and she's such a bad actor. She gets in the ring and kisses Khali. This is so ridiculous. You have a 7'4", possibly 400+ pound guy there, and you're using him as a face dancing around the ring, and it's just like, I just really wanted to be heel. But one of the things about this is we had Jinder Mahal come out, and if you're all of those of you who don't know who Jinder Mahal is, he's just come up from FCW, and he's got an Indian look about him like Great Khali does. He comes in the ring, slaps Khali twice, and obviously gets a little bit of a reaction from Khali. He walks out. The problem I have with this is, Khali can't be face. The way he is, He can't be a face, you know, doing nice things. He needs to be a heel. He needs to be a dominant heel. Just look at his fucking size. So please WWE, make him a dominant heel again, and let's hope the introduction of Jinder Mahal, who, as I'm guessing, was a heel because he got quite a lot of boos on his way out. You know, let's hope their proposed move of going with them as a heel tag team, making Khali a heel again, actually goes ahead, because I'm fucking fed up of seeing that guy face, because he is the most ridiculous face I've ever seen in my fucking life. It's time for the jobber match, and you know what this means? It means one guy comes out with no entrance, the other guy does, you know who's going to win, and in this week's edition of the jobber match, we have Ted DiBiase, who comes out with no entrance, against Cody Rhodes, a guy being elevated on Smackdown, as we all know. You know, this really goes to show the difference between how they've done Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes. We've got Ted DiBiase, who's down here, who's received no push because he can't be a heel, and we've got a guy in Cody Rhodes who's up here, way up here in the upper mid card, because he can play a great heel. So they finally figured out that Ted DiBiase is probably better off as a face, and they're giving him a match against Cody Rhodes. Now, I have a couple of issues with this. You know, do I really want to see this match? I know that they were part of Legacy, but do I really want to see Ted DiBiase job to someone like Cody Rhodes? I'd rather see Ted DiBiase getting a lift, you know, a push or a lift. But anyway, I'll get to the match. Rhodes cuts a promo saying how everyone is ugly because, you know, he's fucking really not ugly with that mask on. He tells everyone to put paper bags on their faces, and, you know, I'm so glad they're pushing DiBiase as a face now, because he really sucked as a heel. He could not gain any heel heat. He got better, you know, he got better face heat facing Cody Rhodes, which goes to show how good Cody Rhodes is at drawing heel heat. And the match itself, you know, because they're ex-members of Legacy, they obviously have good in-ring chemistry. The match itself was very good, and DiBiase, as I said, got some very decent face pops in this match. The only problem is they make Rhodes pretty much, well, not bury him, but they make Rhodes win with a crossroads. It wasn't a very, very long match. It could be, because I think this kind of match could really spark a rivalry between two people who, you know, were on the same page at one point and are now heel and face. So, you know, I think they could make a great rivalry, but again, I kind of don't want to see this match because I want to see Rhodes and Ted DiBiase elevated, and they can't do that when they're in the same rivalry. One of them is going to have to go up, and one of them is going to have to go down. So that's why I probably wouldn't want to see that rivalry. The problem is, part of me feels that they still don't have anything for Cody Rhodes to do on SmackDown. You know, ever since Ray left, there's a feeling out there that they don't really know what to do with him. You know, they give him Ted DiBiase this week, next week they'll probably give him a jobber. He probably won't have a match at the pay-per-view. They need to find something for Cody Rhodes to do, because they need to put him in a meaningful feud to carry on his elevated push, because he's one of those guys that SmackDown need to push up to the main event, because at the moment they ain't got any fucking main event heels. So, you know, get that right, WWE. And we had Cody Rhodes win, of course. Half decent match, but you know, so much nitpicking there. But I will stop there. It was a decent match. You know, again, Ted DiBiase is getting buried, but as a face now at least, and Cody Rhodes is looking good again to another jobber. We then get a backstage interview with the Corre members, Wade Barrett, Heath Slater, and Justin Gabriel, with Matt Striker. God, when was the last time I saw Matt Striker on TV? Jeez, bloody hell. They go on about how they made a statement by destroying Big Show, Kane, and Zeke, and Wade Barrett actually challenges Zeke to a match at Over the Limit, and then Heath Slater comes in with some insight. You should make it for the IC Championship. Fucking Wendy's ginger. But anyway, you know, so it's going to be Ezekiel Jackson versus Wade Barrett at Over the Limit for the IC Championship match, and I'm thinking to myself, God, they've announced a mid-card title match for a pay-per-view with a little bit of build. Oh, when was the last time WWE did this? I mean, come on. We're finally getting a half-decent feud going into a mid-card title match as a pay-per-view. Wow. Oh dear. This is fucking awesome news. But anyway, so we've got another match set for Over the Limit now. It's going to be Wade Barrett versus Ezekiel Jackson for the IC Championship. I can't really say who's going to win it at this point, but I know it's going to establish Zeke as a babyface, of course, in his babyface run that he's going to have now. Hopefully we'll see Wade Barrett go away from the Corre and enter the fucking main event scene at some point soon, because let's face it, SmackDown fucking need him as a main event guy. Look at the amount of heat he used to draw with Nexus. Come on, WWE, you know this guy can be a top heel on SmackDown. Just do it for us, Brits. And then we get to the main event. As we all know, it's going to be Christian and Randy Orton versus Mark Henry and Sheamus. And this wasn't a bad main event. I've got to give it to WWE. They do, you know, although they sometimes make these tag team matches as their main events, which don't really have too much point to them. This one was okay. The reason why it was okay is because you didn't have Randy Orton dominate and RKO someone out of nowhere randomly. You know, you had Mark Henry and Sheamus dominating Christian, you know, which is good because Christian is the smaller guy. The heel should be dominating the smaller face, and you know, they really showed. Mark Henry showed his power again in this match, which I like to see. He plays a great heel when he shows power like that, especially when he's, you know, fighting someone like Christian, a smaller guy. At the end of the match, we get a simultaneous RKO and kill switch, and Christian gets the pin for the win, which I'm glad to see because it gives Christian a little bit of a lift going into Over the Limit. If you had Randy Orton pin, you know, everyone would just be like, well, you know, why are you giving him the pin, blah 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 blah. No one would like it. So at least they gave Christian the pin and made him look a bit stronger going into Over the Limit, even though I still don't think he'll fucking win the match. And why would I believe that, knowing how Randy Orton is going to be booked? So yeah, they end shaking hands. I'd like to see a little bit more tension between them going into their match, you know, just to make the hype a little bit better. But I guess this is okay. So you know, it was a good main event. It set up Christian and Orton's match going into Over the Limit, and maybe, just maybe, they might elevate someone like a Sheamus or a Mark Henry over, you know, the coming weeks to be a main event heel on SmackDown. Because let's face it, like I said before, they don't have any. So let's hope WWE do this and use this as a cornerstone, even with someone like Wade Barrett, to actually promote some main event heels on SmackDown. That's going to be my view on that. Overall thoughts of the show, I thought SmackDown's League was okay. We only had 4 matches, but the 4 matches accomplished what they needed to accomplish. Sin Cara and Daniel Bryan was a very good match. The main event was very good. I thought the Wade Barrett Kane match did something good for the mid-card title on the pay-per-view, which was very, very good to see. And I don't remember what the other match was, but the kiss cam was ridiculous. I don't see why they've done that. The Layla segment was okay. So overall, I'll give this a decent grade. I don't usually grade shows, but I'll give this a C, just because it didn't really have too much special about it, but it still accomplished something, and it accomplished a little bit of build. It accomplished some decent storylines, and it had some pretty decent matches in there, and it did some things right. You have Ted DiBiase now being pushed as a face. You have, you know, Ezekiel Jackson breaking up from the core. Randy Orton and Christian pinning, I believe it was Sheamus or Mark Henry, I can't remember, in the main event. So overall, a decent show, and it leads us on to, you know, we're 9 days away from Over the Limit now, so we need some hype for this pay-per-view, and we got a little bit tonight, so that's good. So overall rating for the show is a C. That has been my opinions on the show. I want to know your opinions out there, guys. How did you rate the show? What did you think of the things I said? Make sure you comment your thoughts in the comment section below. That has been it from me, Daniel Parkin, for SmackDown reviews today on behalf of the British Fist. Once again, make sure you subscribe and like and comment the video. Thank you very much for watching once again, and a very good goodbye.